everybody.
Hey, we're outside today.
Happy Monday.
Thanks to daylight savings time or
Yeah.
unsavings time.
I'm trying to figure out how to hold this. Let me see. Let me send the invites. Hope you guys had a great Monday and a good weekend. And didn't forget to turn your clocks ahead.
We were painting this weekend.
Yes. So that was fun.
Yes.
Let's see if I can get both of us. Let me see if I put this right here real quick.
Try that out.
Is that all right?
There's one of us.
No, I can do it. Look.
There we go.
Hi.
Just the two of us.
It's a bad angle for me, though.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Why?
Look at this.
Now you're gorgeous no matter what.
That's funny. Hi, everybody. Hi, Brittany.
Hi, everybody. Brittany.
Yeah. Hi,
Oh, my
sweetheart.
goodness.
Hi, Veronica.
Who's
Hi,
those,
Ronnie.
Who's those cool kids?
Hi, Levi.
Oh,
Well, today
Yes,
is
yes.
Hebrews number 5.
yep. And we were, I was going to say I got paint all over my shirt.
Yeah, we're painting the we painted the kitchen and the dining room yesterday, and today we painted after work. Mom cut, and then we painted the living room.
So, got that out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
So Hebrews chapter 5. And let's see. If we're looking through like Hebrews chapter 5, 1 through, kind of like 1 through 5 or whatever, it really shows here, it says it shows that Jesus was human. Basically, it shows that Jesus had a human, that he was chosen as a human and as a man, because the high priest was chosen from men. And they've been appointed by God on behalf of men in relation to God. And so, like Aaron was appointed, so was Jesus Christ. And so I want to tell you more about that.
well, but Jesus had to be fully human and fully, God, to be able to redeem us and stuff. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that way he can mediate between God and man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's see. I have another. Let's see. Oh yeah, in verse 3. It's kind of neat. It says, because of this, it's talking about the priest. He being a man, he can know the weakness of a man.
Yes.
I mean, the priest of the Old Testament actually even sinned, but Jesus, being a human, can realize what it feels like to be human because he can feel the weakness. He can feel like, well, it's like people trying to comfort you in something you're going through, but they've never gone through it.
Yeah.
Well, Jesus would never be able to do that unless he was man.
That makes sense.
So it's kind of neat that he was actually us,
Mm-hmm.
human, but without sin.
Yeah.
You have a note?
I have a note on 5.
5?
I just
Okay.
thought it was cool that Christ had to be. It says he did not exalt himself to be made high priest, but was appointed by him who said to him, "You are my son; today I've begotten you." And I just think that's cool because again, God is saying, "This is my son." So it's another time when God is actually speaking and saying, "This is my son," and I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And that's taken from where? Is that like the Old Testament?
Sure, I didn't write that down.
Oh, yeah, okay. And then
I'll be more prepared on that.
And he talks about him being a priest forever after order of Melchizedek,
Mm-hmm.
which we're going to get into talking about Melchizedek in chapter 7. There's a lot more information on him, but it's going to be very interesting because, well, it will be.
That's cool.
We can talk about it.
I had a note on verse 8, and it's the footnote, and it was, although he was a son, he learned obedience through what he suffered, kind of like what you were saying. He had to really learn all that and, like, be part of that. But part of my note, too, was that he was perfectly righteous, and his righteousness would be imputed to us. So he was like us in all things but sin, which you guys all know that, but just as a reminder, he was like us in all things but sin, and then his righteousness is what saves us.
Yeah, it's like that's pretty cool. Good information. And like verses 7 through 9, because I'm covering that a little bit too, it's just, there is talking about he was heard. In verse 7, it says Jesus offered up prayers and supplications, and with loud cries and tears. And what I want to say about that is, if you remember when, or if you don't, you can look up Matthew. The dog's don't bark again.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew 26:39 talks about how Jesus cried out to God. He was praying, if you can take this cup away from me, nevertheless, your will, but not my will be done. So he was actually doing loud prayers and cries, and Jesus was actually heard, but he was actually said no. Jesus got told.
You mean you're trying to say that God heard Jesus' prayers, but God didn't answer his prayers because he was told no.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But and it says,
Mr. Diggles.
But it's hi. So, but anyway, he, like Laura said, he learned obedience through suffering, and he was perfect through that suffering, and made him our high priest. And really, that's what this chapter is getting into, our great high priest. We looked at the chapters before, and Jesus was, better than the prophets, better than the angels, better than Moses, and he has a better rest. And here we are in chapter 5, and Jesus is a better high priest.
And I will say too, and that's awesome what you're saying, but remembering too that this chapter is written towards the Jews of that area and time, and so what this is doing is establishing, because the Jews are very law oriented, so it's establishing from the Old Testament and how Jesus is really who he is in the New Testament, and establishing the proper place of everything too.
That's right.
So
yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, so and then we get into the second half of the chapter.
I hear them barking, so we're outside, so the dogs are barking.
Yeah. They always want to be a part of it.
Yes.
The second part is about warning against apostasy. Now, apostasy might be hard to understand a little bit.
It is for me.
Yeah, and let's see if I got some notes over here. But this is the first time we did it outside, and I don't have anything. There we go. So, okay, what apostasy...
No bark. Hey.
What apostasy is not, it is not a non-Christian. Like apostasy is leaving the faith or whatever.
Mr. Giggles.
Denying Christ. But apostasy is not, it's not a non-Christian, it's not a struggling Christian. Apostasy doesn't mean like that we do sin, because as Christians we still do sin.
You mean not a Christian or not a non-Christian?
Well, see, it doesn't mean a non-Christian.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean a struggling Christian.
Okay.
But it's a person who is part of the visible church who really, knows all the message about Christ, heard everything about Christ, and finally just decides, I don't want any more of it. And has to make that decision. And so apostasy is knowing all the truth and then deciding not to do anything about it. And he's talking to the Hebrews here. What he's trying to do here is, he's talking to the Jews, and he's trying to warn them. He's saying, I'm teaching you all these things in the Old Testament like you were talking about. I'm showing you all this stuff. And he's just helping them. It's a loving thing. He's trying to say, I'm telling you this so I don't lose you. I want you to get saved. I want you to know Jesus Christ. And so it's just to help them check themselves. And as Christians have to check ourselves once in a while. Where are we going with our path? Where are we walking, So it's a good thing. And he talks about in the second half of it that these guys, a lot of them, they've only got to a place where they're learning the milk of the word. In other words, they're still babies in faith.
That's me.
Me, and I am too in a lot of ways. But it's time to move on from some of the easier doctrine and get into the solid food. And solid doctrine is very important because that's how we help other people to know. People have questions.
Well, and that's how we even know, though, too. We only know false stuff by how much we know the real stuff.
Perfect. That's exactly it.
Ding!
John MacArthur once said that he was talking to one of the state treasury guys, whatever it is. He said, how do they know a counterfeit bill from a real bill? And they said, well, they don't study counterfeit bills. What they do is they study the real bill so that when that bill comes through, when a fake one comes through, they can spot it right away.
That's cool.
So that was good, what she said there.
You.
So knowing the truth and knowing the true doctrines helps us spot that kind of thing right away.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That gets us to the end of it.
That's it. And there's a whole lot in that chapter. The time's sake, we don't have it all the time, but thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you for joining us and being outside as we experiment.
Yeah.
And I see Brittany says that she's painting too.
What?
It's like fun for the first 5 minutes, and then after that it's like, but it actually is fun because you can see the changes, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But
it's amazing, like when you get done, you see what paint you got on yourself.
And on the floor.
Yeah.
So,
and the dog.
Yes. All right, guys, we love you. Thanks for joining us.
Yep, and we'll have fun tomorrow. See you Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Chapter 6.
Yay.
And love you.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.